I don't know if a lot of you guys heard about this. You probably heard about the Nord Stream pipeline, but
yeah, because China pushed that propaganda
they
like
really
crazy.
did, didn't they?
Yeah, there are other pipelines, by the way, other than that one.
Yes. So this pipeline is in the Baltic. So you have the Baltic countries. You have Estonia. You have Latvia. You have Lithuania. Right. These countries in North.
It's an undersea pipeline that delivers gas and also telecommunications and stuff. You know, they'll usually tie like internet lines with those.
So fascinating article. By the way, if you're ever curious more about the topics we talk about, we always have our sources linked at the bottom of the description.
Yes.
Our sources are not.
Oh, this is
My source is that I made it the f*** up.
But I'll tell you what, like, you know, this...
Where I can find the self-imagination. Where?
In the description.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Nice. I like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, back to
You weren't going to play with more sound bites.
No.
Okay, cool.
Although there is one that I kind of...
you go ahead.
What? Okay. I've done it, but I got to do...
We are trying to talk about something very serious.
I understand, but how about this?
Come and lick my white neck.
Just had to throw it in there.
A new one. We got a new one.
All right, let's continue. Sorry, back to this important story.
Yes.
So there's a pipeline.
There's a pipeline in the Baltics, okay? Now, this pipeline is very interesting because what it did was took Estonia's reliance away from Russia, right? So you have this situation where Estonia is on the border with Russia, but Estonia is very pro-democracy, pro-EU. I've been there myself. Fantastic country. This is a country that wants to forget its Soviet past, right? This is a moving forward tech hub.
Yes.
Right? Full of Western values at this point, right? So the last thing they want to do is be reliant on a country that doesn't share their values.
Yeah, for gas. Because they can always be like, you better do what we say, otherwise we're turning off the gas.
And Russia's threatened this how many times now, right? So it's very interesting when this pipeline was damaged. In fact, destroyed, right?
Yeah.
In an area. Now, what happened was the joint investigators in the Baltics were able to track this down to a Chinese ship that was actually carrying a Hong Kong flag, in a Hong Kong
But it's
residence.
a Chinese ship.
Yeah, it's a Chinese ship. And they tried to contact this ship, but what they did was they tracked the anchor.
Yeah, they found the anchor because basically the anchor was dragged through the pipeline to destroy it, and then it obviously broke off.
Yes.
And they were like, oh, damn. Anchor's down there. So when they found the anchor, they're like, okay, it's obviously got the name of the ship on it. And they're like, okay, now we know what ship it's from.
Yes.
And they queried the ship. They're like, hey, listen, your anchor damaged this stuff. What's the deal? What did they do next?
So what they did was they said, oh, it was just because of bad weather.
Yeah, first they didn't admit it for 10 months, by the way.
Yes, 10
They
months.
went straight from there.
I'm just cutting to the chase here.
They went to Russia, right?
Yes.
And then straight after Russia, they went to China, to Tianjin.
So the path of the ship that they were able to track was the Chinese ship
Destroyed the
Baltics,
pipeline.
destroyed it, went to St. Petersburg in Russia, which is right next to Tallinn, Estonia, right? So it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
They're going to port in a friendly nation.
To say like, hey, we did it,
Hey,
guys.
we did it, guys.
Yeah.
Or whatever, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
And then they later docked in Tianjin, like you
Where
said.
they said, hey, we did it, guys.
Allegedly. So what happened was the Baltic countries like, yo, what's going on? Can you cooperate?
Yeah,
with
we
this?
found your anchor.
We found your anchor. Can you send people over to help with this investigation? And they go, oh, it's just bad weather.
Yeah. 10 months later, they're like, oh, yeah, no, that was actually just an accident.
Yeah.
And there's like, dude, well, why didn't you tell anyone? It's only when they were caught out, they were like, oh, actually, yes, we did do that, but it was an accident because of bad weather.
Yeah.
But of course, the investigators are like, that's nonsense because no ship captain is that stupid to drag an anchor along the floor for that long.
Yes.
You know, it was, and also another thing is the weather.
Yes.
They've got the weather reports from the time, and there wasn't bad weather.
Sean Rice had a great quote.
What's
he
that?
says, it was an accident. They were trying to actually sever internet cables.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. They got both.
And he said, also, no ship would lay anchor in bad weather for fear of cracking their ship in half.
Yeah, the thing is,
Anyway.
there wasn't bad weather. And that's the stupid thing, is like, they think people can't look at the weather reports or anything.
Yes.
So anyway, there wasn't bad weather. They definitely destroyed it. They've admitted to it, but they're trying to pretend it was an accident.
Destroyed, right?
Yeah.
Whether it was an accident or not, that's up in the air right now.
Yeah.
That being said, what I want you to do is, we're no ship experts. Go down to the description, read the source, read the actual articles about it. There's probably a lot of info out there.
Yeah,
Come to your-
it's actually maddening when you read it because they're...
It'll make you mad, probably.
Yeah, because they're very deliberate, incredibly deliberate about destroying that. And the timing is like really perfect. It's just like when the Ukraine conflict and all that was heating up and all that. So they did it on purpose.
China is losing its mind in the government right now over what Biden just did with the nuclear, with this nuclear act to make
Strategy
sure that
report,
strategy to make strategy to make sure that the U.S. is competing with China and Russia on a nuclear level. I saw something fantastic the other day.
Okay.
It was, I don't know if it was a quote or it was some article, and I think it's down in the description, but about how if you can be on par with China, like U.S. and China and Russia with nukes, right? But the U.S. is not morally on par with these countries.
Yeah.
These countries will do things in wartime scenarios that are so immoral that the U.S. wouldn't stoop to. Yeah. So you have to make sure you have nukes to be able to deter these countries in situations of war, right? So there's a bunch of strategies to make the U.S. competitive again in this sphere. And a lot of people think that the U.S. has been lagging for a long time while China is just absolutely pumping the crap out of their military budget.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just something to look into. Read it. It's interesting.
Yeah, fantastic. Is that the end of the show?
There was just one more thing. This is not news. This is just another article. In relation, it says, if China and America went to nuclear war, who would win? I really enjoyed this article. This is War Gamers. We're doing the scenarios and weighed the pros and cons and who would be on top in this scenario. God forbid, right?
Do you want to play a game?
Do you want to play a game? Very interesting read, though. Everything's down below. You know, in China, Facebook is banned.
That poor baby. That's a real baby.
Imagine one of your first memories is looking up at that.
And I guess it also stops people from having fantasies of going back in time and, like, I don't know, stopping Mao Zedong from taking power or something. You know what I mean? They don't want those fantasies floating around.
Well, I have some stuff to say about this, actually.
Okay. I'm sure you do. One of your all-time favorites. Obviously, they don't want anything to do with revolutions and overthrowing government power. It had like the shark, and then it had a massive wave. But in the wave, it had the Fast and Furious cars flipping. You know, like the flipping over. China banned something that it pirated and stole. They stole it and then banned it. I love this one. It's got Xi Jinping's death portrait.
Is that the WHO guy?
It looks like it could be Tedros.
I can almost sing it. When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind